This is, of course, the Cumbria Arts and Culture Network Friday morning call about number 105. If you want to be somewhere else, or if you should be somewhere else, or if this is the wrong call for you, now is the time to slip away. But hopefully you are here for the right reasons, and we are here to connect, empower, champion, and extend the arts and cultural provision within this fine county and beyond. That's the plan of what we're about and why we do it. It's lovely to have you all on board to do that. There's no Kate this morning. She's got to do other things this morning. So it's just me hosting you this morning. And Amy, of course, is pressing all the buttons in the right place. And just to remind you that if you need closed captions, they're available at the bottom of the screen if you press the button. And we're recording this call because we post it onto the cacn.co.uk website, certainly by the Monday of the next week, so that you can catch up if ever you needed to catch up for any reason or wanted to see something again. So that's always there the following week. This morning, it's a beautiful day across Cumbria again. It's always Fridays seem to hit the button sometimes, quite often actually, on sunshine. So I've just nipped out here in Cockermouth and it's gorgeous. And as I said earlier, there's a lovely spread of people across the county this morning, and it seems like another nice day. We have got some lovely stuff this morning. We're gonna excitingly cross live to Venice in the second half hour of the call, because our friend Daniel Ibbotson, who many people here will know, a Carlisle-based artist, has got himself involved in an amazing exhibition out there and has worked so hard over the preceding months to pull together money to get out there. And I know a lot of people on this call will have supported Daniel. So if the birds on the wire in the right order, we'll cross to Venice in the second half of the conversation. But before then, we're going to hear from Liz Richardson. Give us a wave, Liz, who is the amazing writer and performer of a beautiful new performance piece called Swim, which has opened at Theatre by the Lake in the last few days. I saw it a few days ago. It's a beautiful piece, and it's also touring to some places in Cumbria, fingers crossed, next week as well, and then going on a national tour too. So Liz will tell us all about that. And I've got a lovely little film to show you about the making of that piece as well, which we'll look at too before we speak with Liz. Emma Parsons is getting involved with the military museum, the Cumbria Life Military Museum. It's called something like that. Emma will correct me there. And it's looking at some audience research that's going on there. So we'll hear from her. Nick Turner, Chief Exec, CEO of Intro PR PLC Global Incorp, is a great Carlisle man that makes things happen, and is going to talk to us about a great arts festival that I think started last year and is picking up again this year. So some really interesting stuff to think about there and learn about there. And that is the plan for this morning. We're also just going to reflect on Artful Ways. Thank you. Cumbria's Museum of Military Life, says Emma. We're also going to reflect on Artful Ways, which has just reopened again at Studio Moorland near Penrith, and just hear that's gone there as well. So that's the plan for this morning. And do feel free to chip in on chat and ask any questions as we're going along as well. I can sometimes see chat, I sometimes can't if I'm sharing my screen. So bear with me if I have to pick up on chat in due course. Right, well, let's kick off then with Swim, which is this lovely piece that is opened recently in Keswick and is about to go elsewhere. Liz, hello, welcome to the call. It's really nice to see you. And I'll play the film in a second. I've got it lined up. But first of all, just tell us a bit about yourself, Liz, and how the whole of the Swim thing kind of came from. Where did it come from, and what made you write it?
Hello, hi everyone. So yeah, my name's Liz Richardson, and I'm from Cumbria, West Cumbria, born in Whitehaven. And brought up in a small village called Beckhermit, just by Sellafield. But I moved away to London when I was 18. I went to school in Egremont and moved away when I was 18 to London to train as an actor, and I now live in the Peak District. But I'm back in Beckhermit at the moment because I'm performing in Keswick, and my parents are childminding for me and for me as well, looking after me as well. Yeah, I'm fortunate enough to have brought Swim to Theatre by the Lake. I did originally make this piece in 2018, and it opened, late 2018. The idea came in 2018, and I opened it at home Theatre in Manchester in 2019, and it also went to Edinburgh for the month. It was a completely different version, really. It was the idea was there in my head, but I tried it out in a different way, and it didn't quite sit right with me. There were a few of us on stage, and there was more to get from it. So I actually took time out from that, and then the pandemic hit, which gave me time to write the show. So the show is about, it's just myself now on stage with the musician throughout, who has composed and performs her music throughout the show, which is about 70 minutes long. And it's about me telling the story of a close friendship that I made when I moved to the Peak District. But within our community, it was rocked by tragic circumstances within one family. So it touches a lot on grief, but it's also about the community who found wild swimming, or whatever term you want to use, cold water swimming, open water swimming, crazy swimming, whatever you want to call it. And I started to really be interested in why people were taking to the water so much. I found there was quite a lot of grief that people were dealing with when swimming outside in reservoirs or rivers. And even though I grew up doing a lot of this up in the lakes and the tarns, it wasn't quite a thing. So it follows loosely around the outdoor swimming community, but
right, let me pause you there.
Yeah,
and we'll see the little film, which
give you
goes
more.
a little bit under the bonnet, and then we'll come back, and I've got a couple of questions lined up for you, and if anybody else wants to chip in some questions as well, I'm sure
Great.
Liz will engage. Right, so I'm just going to share my screen and we'll watch this little trailer film.
Swim is about friendship, it's about grief, it's about nature, it's about swimming in cold water, it's about rural community or community as a whole. It's about a very humanness of existence and relationship.
So this week we're doing a research and development period in which we're exploring how we tell the story through music, through projection, and the way in which Liz navigates an audience through this series of events. Swim is a show that explores a rural community who are rocked by tragic circumstances, and explores the different ways in which people come together and respond to this shared experience.
Even though it's a show which does touch on grief, can expect some humour and lightness, hopefully leave with a sense of hope.
So we're working with a musician called Carlisle, who is on stage throughout the entire piece, and what's really exciting is the relationship between Liz and Carlisle, and the way in which music contributes to the storytelling, and the way in which music can reach places maybe that words and text can't.
I would describe the show as a celebration of relationship, as a celebration of nature and everything that comes for free. Swim opens at Theatre by the Lake in Cumbria in spring 2022, and then we have a rural tour of Cumbria, and then we go straight down to the Minack, which is a theatre right by the sea in the Cornish coast, and we visit some rural destinations down there in Cornwall and Devon, and then in autumn 2022 we'll be at theatre studios around the UK.
What a lovely little film. Really like that. And I like the way you said down there when you talked about Cornwall and Devon, because too often people talk about up there when it comes to Cumbria. One thing I picked up from there, Liz, is you talked about it's a celebration of relationship and things that come for free. That's a really interesting thing you said, I think. Tell me a bit more about that.
Well, pretty much what I said, yeah.
Right now on Google.
I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
Why is construction
Relationship
free?
and nature, yeah, the two things that we get for free. Being around other people and submerging ourselves in nature when we can. And those are the two things that really get the people in this story pull them through when we're thrown into places in our life which are difficult, like child loss, which we touch on particularly in this show.
And is the story based on things that actually happened and that things that people that you knew?
Yes, all true. Don't want to talk too much about it because you'll need to see the show to know more. But tragic circumstances within a tight community. So the story follows completely a true story, but from my point of view and my positioning within that story.
On a practical level, I saw the show. I think it's about 75 minutes long, something like that.
Yeah.
And there's no interval. It's all the way through.
Yeah.
And as that little film suggested, it's basically just you on stage these days. It may not have been that originally, but it is now. And you've got Carlisle playing beautiful keyboard and guitar music at the side. You've just got a lot of lines to remember, Liz.
Yeah, 9,800. I don't know.
How on earth do you go about doing that?
I don't know, actually. I still don't know how my brain has held all of those words. I panic at the start and then I realize that I can do it. So I slowly learned them over the space of about 3 weeks rehearsal. And then I drove my husband mad every evening, making him listening to them whilst I recite them. Yeah, so it does help to, we realized that the prompts and the music helped me as well. So that the hardest bit actually wasn't learning all the lines, but actually remembering which section comes next throughout the telling of the show. So having the music change kind of glides me into the next section when I'm just stood there. And for anyone that was there for the first preview night, I definitely forgot where I was, and I turned to Carmel for like help, and she just played something to just move me onto the next section. So we very much need each other throughout the performance.
And for people again that haven't seen it yet, it's got a beautiful backdrop that does quite a lot during the performance as well. Again, I'm not asking you to give it all away, but just describe what that's like and what happens.
I'm working again with the wonderful Jim Dawson. I always use him for my video design in previous shows that I've made. And yeah, he's actually captured the real community that it's based on, and he just uses out of context, in context sometimes, the visuals from the landscape and some of the things that I describe, but I don't want to give too much away about the clarity of what you see or not.
Well, yeah, and again, the way it works is you've got this beautiful sort of curtain that of metal that it kind of projects onto you. I hope I haven't given too much away there, but it's
no,
I think before.
Yeah, that's our set designer, so that's something different. There's my child crying for me. The set design by Hannah Sabai is, yeah, there's an idea, the element that the chain curtain, and when you're going through grief, you don't perhaps see things clearly, or things are obscured, and so there's a lot of metaphor behind the set design. At the start, I think Jim was horrified about the idea of not having his super visuals, you know, pristine, but actually he's really come to enjoy them.
Well, as an audience member, I think it just works brilliantly to you have to work a little bit to see what's going on, but actually it's a bit like being underwater. For me, it was a bit like being underwater, and I'm sure that's something that works really well. So let's just talk about wild swimming a little bit, or swimming. Let's not call it wild swimming. Let's just call it swimming in the outdoors, because when I was a kid, swimming in lakes and rivers in Dorset, that's definitely what we used to do. It wasn't wild swimming, it was just swimming outdoors. So you are someone that swims outdoors, I guess.
Yeah, I have. I didn't, yeah, like you said, I didn't think it was a thing when I was a kid. I just always was in water playing. We were always on the fells, got keen fell walking parents. So, but we always played in rivers and lakes and tarns because there wasn't an awful lot else to do where I grew up, to be honest. So yeah, I always did it. And then I suppose once I moved to the Peak District, although Peak District's not the best place for outdoor swimming, I just found that I found a community of friends that loved it as well. So actually now when I come back to visit my parents, I'm always out in the tarns and the lakes and rivers, and I've just built up an immunity almost to the cold water. I can go any temperatures these days.
Is that wetsuit off or wetsuit on?
Oh, definitely wetsuit off. No,
So
don't go near a wetsuit now.
Is there a thing about, oh, if you've got a wetsuit, you're not a proper swimmer?
Well, I don't know, because actually the proper swimmers wear wetsuits and they can do some considerable time in the water, can't they? I can't. But I don't want to give away too much. I talk about this in the show.
Well, Nick asked a question in chat there. How do you portray the experience of swimming on stage? Or is that a spoiler alert?
I don't think I tried to. I definitely have some sections where I talk about what I feel like to be in the water. I talk more about the communities, the different communities of people swimming and how they engage in water. And the visuals don't really just capture exactly water scenarios. So I think it's more about understanding the community that are in the water that gives you the feeling that you're engaging in it.
If anyone's got any questions, by the way, do raise your hands while Liz deals with the audience participation in her own front room there in Birkermit. And I know one or two people I think on the call have seen the show as well. Amy, do you want to fire away?
Yeah, I'm just always interested in how people make a start in their chosen field, and as we're from Cumbria, we often find people might move away and then they might come back to Cumbria. So just interested in what made you want to get into acting, theatre performance at the beginning.
Having left Cumbria, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Just in your life, was it as a child? Did you think, oh my God, I really want to be an actor? Was that your absolute dream from being a kid, or was it something that kind of developed a bit later on?
No, I actually did Amdram when I was a kid, because again, there wasn't a lot on offer. I went to Wyndham School and we didn't have anything much in terms of theatre on offer, and I did Amdram accidentally. I always loved showing off as a kid, but I really got into that. Sorry, I've got a child crying at me. And so then it was a bit of a Billy Elliot, really. I took myself off to, I got an audition in London, and it was open auditions, I suppose. And then I went to my first acting school and did a 9-hour audition, and at the end of the day got in and came home and went back into sixth form the next day and said, yeah, that was it. That was me into acting school. I didn't have the most supportive teacher, I've got to be honest, but I think they thought I was wasting my life away to go away and train as an actor. But it was the best thing I did, I think.
Did you always think you'd come back and do some stuff in Cumbria, Liz?
Do you know what? When I was younger, I used to say to myself, one day I'd like to be on a Theatre by the Lake. I'd like to, that was our only theatre that we went to. We went to Rose Hill, but there wasn't an awful lot on other than Kids Button Moon, as far as I remember as a kid. Yeah, I wanted to perform, and actually my first audition out of acting school was for Theatre by the Lake when Stefan Screet was there. But it wasn't until the pandemic, until just before the pandemic, when I really started to focus on where I wanted to make this show or what I wanted to do with it, did I realise that I wanted to take something back to my own community that I grew up in. So I feel really, I feel really strongly I'd love to make some more work here in Cumbria and be back in this area.
It works so well on the stage at Theatre by the Lake when you can talk about the lake literally just outside, etc., etc. Helen, you've got your hand up. Off you go.
Is I'd really like to see this play. It sounds lovely, and I probably can't make it to Keswick. I'll try. But is there a website that will, that I'm just looking on my computer now, that shows any future touring dates that you have?
Yeah, if you look, I've actually put my name right near the top of my website there, but we finish, unfortunately, some of you might or might not know, or people that had bought tickets or not, I'm meant to be doing a matinee in a few hours time, but I actually have COVID at the moment. So the show's been pulled until Tuesday, which I'm very sorely disappointed about. So any show, people that were booked before then, all of the tickets are moving it to the rest of next week, and we're on at Theatre by the Lake until next Saturday. And there's various Q&As now that are all being pushed to next week. If you manage to get there, you can catch a free Q&A with some wild swimming experts as well. And then we go on tour for a week around rural Cumbria. It's all pretty rural, isn't it? So
so is there that touring program? Where can I see it? Yeah,
on my website. So I
can't find your website.
It's on the link. So it's lrproductions.co.uk.
Yeah. It's what?
And Amy Clues from Theatre by the Lake has put the dates and locations into chat as well.
Great.
So you can see that. So I can just tell people it's coming to Appleby, Shap, Penrith, Alston, and Rosehill Theatre.
Right.
So Rosehill Theatre is taking it. So that's a nice going full circle for Rosehill as well.
Yeah, it's great.
Childhood.
Yes.
And it's just fabulous. As someone into rural touring and believes it's got such a community offer, it's fantastic to see this show, which is perfect, I think, for rural touring, as well as the studio at Theatre by the Lake, going to places where communities can really engage with it, and think about the themes and ideas that it portrays. It must be really nice to be working with communities in that way, Liz.
Oh, absolutely. That's where I feel, I think having a time out during the pandemic made me actually really refocus that I did want to do a lot of my work within communities. I've done something similar with another show, but it was a different type of communities. But I really felt rural communities for this was the place for it to go initially. But it will go to theatre studios, all being well, next year, not autumn. That's wrong now. It's spring next year. But certainly rural communities, I think, like anywhere, should have access to art and culture.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, if anyone else has any questions for Liz, then raise your hand now. But I'm going to wish you, Liz, a full recovery from COVID. I'm sure that will happen sooner rather than later. And fingers crossed those dates can go ahead in the way that you want them to. And how lovely to have a lovely tour of different parts of the UK ahead as well. It's a beautiful show. It's nothing like I'd seen before. And it really does make you stop and think. And I love the pace of it as well. It's not, it just allows you space and time to reflect, I think, while you're watching it as well. Thank you for your creativity, and thank you for bringing it to Cumbria as well. It's a real privilege to see it, and I wish you success with it. And may the next thing, whatever it is that you do as well, you're probably in the middle of doing that now, as well as doing this, because I know that's how these things work. I hope you continue to be successful in all that you do.
Oh, thank you very much, and thanks for having me on here.
All right, lovely. That's Liz Richardson. So swim, the dates are in chat there from Amy Clues from Theatre by the Lake, including the Southwest Rural Touring ones, I notice. So do enjoy swim if you get a chance to see it, and it's a wonderful piece of art for Cumbria at the moment. Right, let's move on, and let's just have a quick word with Amy, who has been to help set up Artful Ways at Studio Moorland near Penrith. Amy, just give us a couple of minutes on it being open and what it's like there.
Yes, I was there yesterday. I can't take any credit for installing it, because that was a few other people who were busy doing that. But it's just to say that Artful Ways exhibition is on now at Studio Moorland. It's near Penrith. That's kind of the nearest place. It was the first time I went. I went yesterday just to sit and invigilate. I'd never been to Studio Moorland before. It's a lovely, light, bright space. It is a bit, tricky to get to if you've not been to it before, but it's easily accessible, and there's a bit of parking outside as well. There's a lovely cafe next door, and I think there's a pub across the road. probably some lovely walks, so you could kind of tie it into a bit of a day out. And just nice to see, you know, the Artful Ways exhibition somewhere totally different. Last time at Tully House, they had kind of the space at the bottom of the gallery. This time they've got quite a big space and it's naturally lit, which is different from last time as well. So whether you've seen it before or you haven't, it's lovely to see it. The Artful Ways project ran last year by Harriet and Rob Fraser, and invited people to go for a walk, to map the route and to make something creative. And it was really nice open project, because it allowed people just to send things in without classing themselves as an artist necessarily, which was lovely. So they've got some lovely responses. So it's well worth seeing, and I'll pop the dates that it's open at Studio Moreland in chat in a moment.
Thank you, Amy. Nice part of the world. I can recommend it highly. Right, I know there's at least one retired military person on this call this morning, and we are now going to talk about the Cumbria Military Museum of Life. Have I got that right? I'm just checking back what Emma said again. What's it called? The Cumbria's Museum of Military Life, based at the castle in Carlisle. I wonder how many people on this call have ever been to that museum. I don't know is the answer, but my suspicion, Nick Turner's been to it. Tim Coombe, who's a retired military man, by the way, has been to it. Phil Hewittson's been to it. I've been to it, sort of, a long time ago, but it's one of those sort of hidden gems of Cumbria that perhaps needs a bit of a new lease of life, or perhaps some new thinking. Emma Parsons is involved in that piece of work, and I'm going to cross to Emma now to talk to us about what she's doing and perhaps a little call out that she's asking for help with. So Emma, over to you.
Thank you. That tells 1,000 stories that the name of the museum doesn't quite trip off the tongue, does it? That's something to test. Hello, everybody. Just before I start, Liz, I saw Swim last week and it was absolutely beautiful. Thank you from me as well. I loved it. Okay, I'll start my bit. I'm Emma Parsons. I'm a freelance arts and heritage consultant. I work with organisations to help them think about how to engage audiences, essentially. And at the moment, I'm working with Cumbria's Museum of Military Life in Carlisle. They secured a grant from the Art Fund to think about their future sustainability. And that was in the last couple of years. Like a lot of organisations, they're just thinking and reviewing how they go forward after the time we've all had. So part of that grant is paying for me and a colleague, Jane Davis, to work with them on what we call an audience development plan, which is essentially considering how to engage more people with the museum. They actually had a big Heritage Lottery grant 2014 and moved to a new site within the castle. So if you've not been for a long, long time, you might not have seen their new site in the castle. So they have relatively up-to-date exhibitions and displays, but they really want to think about how to get more people to engage with them. So I'm doing a piece of work which is essentially 3 phases. First phase is sort of where are we now, who's coming now, analysing that, and then going into a phase which I'm in at the moment, which is talking to people, consulting, getting opinions, listening, doing a lot of listening. So I'm talking to families, military families particularly. Carlisle is, has been home to the border regiment for over 300 years. So it's a border and military town. Talking to teachers, special interest groups, day trippers to Carlisle, but also the people that think of themselves as regular museum or heritage site goers, if you like. So I'm hoping there's quite a few of those people on this call and in this network, people who are interested in heritage. So I'm consulting people. We're kind of testing out ideas for the future, but we're also testing some assumptions so that we can help the museum move forward based on some evidence, really, instead of just gut feeling. So part of doing that is focus groups, interviews, and surveys. And I've got a survey, an online survey, that I would be very grateful if any of you would fill the survey in. I'll put a link in the chat in a minute. But also to share it with other people that you think might be interested in Cumbria, in heritage, in museums, in the military, any of those subject areas. That would be great. I then, in a couple of weeks' time, I do a lot of analysis of all that discussion, all that consultation, and I work with the museum team to think about, okay, do we respond to that? What should we do next? And we come up with a lot of action plans, which hopefully we can then find funding and budget to help them move forward in a more sustainable way with new people visiting. That's it in a nutshell, and I will put the survey link in the chat, and do please share, and it takes 5 minutes.
Thank you, Emma. That's useful. Sue's just asking there, one assumption I have, if testing assumptions on museum only accessible via getting an English heritage ticket to Carlisle Castle, or can you access it separately? There's an assumption.
It's a correct assumption, Sue. I think it's, yeah, there are pros and cons, but yeah, because English Heritage run admission to the castle site, it's now a joint ticket. Yeah, so okay. Yeah.
Fill that survey in, Sue, and say what you think, and that's what they want you to hear from you. So if everybody can help Emma out by after this call, obviously, just grabbing that link and just putting your thoughts down, whether you've ever been there or are from Carlisle, it doesn't matter. Just perceptions, I think, is what they're after. That'll be very helpful to help the evolution of that museum at the castle in Carlisle. Thank you very much, Emma. Good luck with that piece of work. Now, those of you who are sharp folks can see that something called iPhone has appeared on our screen, and there's a man with a hat on, and that doesn't look like anywhere in Cumbria to me. So excitedly, we are going to cross to Venice in the next 10 minutes or so and check in with Daniel. So let's let him get himself sorted out. But before we do that, just as excitedly, I am about Carlisle and about a lovely new, quite new festival that Nick Turner is helping to organise and get involved in. So Nick, I'm going to get your slides up. Do tell us all about what's going on in Carlisle this summer.
Hi everyone, thanks for inviting me to speak today. So I just wanted to outline our plans for what will be the second Historic Quarter Arts Festival. Just while you're setting this slides up, just to explain who we are, we're Intro. If you have a look at the next slide, we're based at Paternoster Road, just opposite the cathedral. We're a PR and social media agency with, you know, lots of clients and things, but I think there's three things I think we make us different. One is that wherever possible, we're trying to use our skills to make Cumbria a better place, either by the people that we'll work with or by using the spending power of our clients, if you like the Cumberland and Stagecoach, to do interesting things in the community. You know, we like to think that we're like very creative and a bit of a kind of creative hub. We have hot desking here on Paternoster Row as well, and we come up with lots of crazy ideas like the World Gravy Championships and things like that. But we also try to use art wherever we can in our campaigns for clients. So for instance, when we were doing stories and case studies for KDAS for their anniversary, rather than kind of cliched silhouetted pictures, we actually got the aforementioned Daniel Ibbotson to create some art along that theme, and he was part of a live event we did. And you know, wherever we can, we use art. Just looking at the next slide, our space in Paternoster Row is also rented out on the ground floor occasionally as a pop-up space, which sometimes that's retail, like this week somebody's selling crystals in it, if anyone's interested, but more often than not it's been used for exhibitions. You can see there the university put vinyl in our window for their exhibition for students as rather kind of eye-catching for people walking along the street. Joe Dyers, the landscape artist, had his first kind of solo exhibition here, went really well for him. And we've had a couple of proceed exhibitions, which have been collections of artists. So as part of that, we've tried to kind of reach out to nearby businesses, and we formed a kind of very loose organisation, historic quarter network for people in this kind of few streets between the cathedral and the castle, looking for ways to collaborate. And then next slide, if I'm right. Last year we launched a festival which basically had an exhibition on our premises as the kind of centerpiece for kind of, I think it was about 8 days, but also a kind of an art trail around the historic quarter with businesses displaying art. And we had art in the cathedral and art in Tully House, and you know, really kind of brought people together. You can see in our kind of launch publicity there, we managed to rope in some of the local businesses to help us with a sort of PR picture, Castle Chocolates and Hayward Todd and hairdressers and things like that. And next slide there. So we created this kind of art trail. I think it was actually 18 businesses. Somebody corrected me when they were looking at these slides yesterday. And the idea was that we printed out little maps. People might come to this exhibition. We distributed those as a kind of little leaflet, and then people could follow around the trail. And so you had kind of unlikely places that you could see art from local artists like hairdressers' windows, and like the camera shop on Fisher Street had a photography in its window for the first time, and people really got something out of that. And the feedback from the businesses was that you know, they really appreciated that people taking time to kind of follow the trail, stop at their window to enjoy the art, but also kind of clocking the fact that there was, you know, a high-end bathroom design shop in Castle Street or whatever it was. Just on the next slide there. This is one that kind of tickled me, and I like telling people about that. Northern Vacuums, a very kind of traditional kind of shop to get all your white goods. They were so enthusiastic in displaying art in their windows, and the way it kind of worked is that people could see the art. If they wanted to buy it, and people did, they would go back to the kind of central exhibition and pay for that. So next slide. Yeah, and that this the real Daniel Ibbotson fans, is another picture of him at our launch event, Vegas there as well. I think she's on this call. She was one of the exhibitors in the cathedral, and there's me making an ass of myself, because it was a midsummer night and we had a bit of a kind of themed event around that, and we had some live music in the street. It nicely coincided with the end of that particular lockdown. We got a telling off from the council for the live music, but it was worth it. Next slide. So we've kind of looked at what we're how to build on that event. So this, in the broad brushstrokes, is what's coming up this year. We've worked with the local businesses on their kind of feedback from last year. I think they thought the week was a bit short because they still had people turning up a week later with the maps and things that they picked up. So we're going for a longer time span. We immediately after Easter will be announcing a competition for artists to create something or submit something to the competition with the theme of Carlisle 2022. It could be historic quarter, could be anywhere around Carlisle. All the pieces that are submitted for that exhibition will be the things that will be displayed during the festival, either in the pop-up here or around the businesses or in Cakes and Ale, or the different kind of smaller kind of venues, and we'll have that art trail again going for a longer time. Then the winner will get a prize of a commission for, to paint the cathedral, which is this year celebrating its 900th year. And you know, we're holding the event a bit kind of later this year, so it's starting in July, and then running into the start of the kind of summer holidays. And the commission, we're still kind of working on our budgets, but we think it'd be like about £1,000, £750 to kind of create that. So that's the kind of broad brushstrokes of it. And I guess what I was hoping in telling you about it was, if there's any kind of flaws in the plan, you'd be able to point them out either today or through feedback and getting in touch, and really just kind of getting the kind of insight from artists like some of you on the call today about whether you think the kind of concept of the competition kind of works. If any of you are fans of Landscape Artist of the Year on Sky Arts, I make apologies for kind of plagiarising their format to some extent, but yeah, that's the idea of it. And then on the last slide is I think my contact details if anyone wants to get in touch there.
Some of the slickest slides we've seen for a while, Nick, I have to say. Very nice. Right, I'm just going to stop sharing there. So Nick, if you want to put your details into chat as well, that will be useful. I'm just going to have a quick flick through the chat. So are you just looking for a painting for the commission, asks Sue?
I think the rules are stating something like painting, kind of visual art, print work, etc. So yeah, essentially mainly paintings, but we're visual art.
Yeah, okay. And Amy's just saying they're a nice way to link up art and businesses. Absolutely, I agree with that. I think you've done a good job to try and corral people into realizing there's an opportunity here to potentially make a bit more money and sell a few things to their businesses, as well as actually raising everyone's eyebrows and horizons as to what art and culture in that part of Carlisle is all about as well. So thumbs up from Tim. So Nick, you're interested in, if anybody wants any thoughts as to whether that's a good plan, whether they can improve it, that you're all ears for that. Presumably the kind of meetings for planning this are well underway now in Carlisle.
Yeah, I think there's just a small window to kind of tweak things. I guess what we're kind of hoping is that, during that time, there will be some events to encourage sort of kind of participation, sort of a children's art day, kind of that, kind of gazebos around the cathedral, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But we do want it to be something that professional artists kind of participate in, and kind of see it as a worthy prize winning. So if anyone is kind of thinking there's a flaw in the plan, please feel free to sort of contact me and be kind of brutal in your feedback.
There's an invitation. There's an invitation. Excellent. Well, thank you, Nick. Good luck with it, because I think it's it kind of passed me by last year, if I'm honest with you. But I'm not in or near Carlisle these days. But it hasn't passed me by this year because you've told us about it, which is great. So I look forward to seeing what a Northern Vacuum is going to do this year from an artistic perspective as they take part in that. So thank you for that. Good luck with that, and keep us informed, through the social media channels as well as other ways as well. Thank you very much, Nick. Right, okay. So Daniel Ibbotson, come in from Venice. Daniel, can you hear us? You've already made an appearance in Nick's slides already. Come off mute, Daniel, so that we can hear what you're going to say and tell us all about what's going on there. Just come off mute, Daniel, if you can. I'll keep filling until I see that little red line come off your mute button, Daniel, which is probably, there you go.
Hello.
Hi, Daniel.
Okay, can you hear me?
Absolutely. I'll encourage everyone to go full screen on Daniel.
Hello.
Where are you?
I'm in the middle of Venice on the Strada Nova. Palazzo Mora is the gallery where I'm exhibiting. I'm just on a terrace on the second floor. And yeah, obviously, it's absolutely unbelievable, this place, and yeah, very exciting to be part of. So it's a huge gallery, and I've been living here for you know, a couple of weeks now, but it feels like a lot longer because I've been working, you know, it's like I've got a job here, you know, so avoiding all of the touristy sort of areas simply because I've got work to do has been quite nice, you know, because you get to know a little bit more about the city, how it operates early in the morning, late at night, and everything else. So it's very, very, very interesting place, you know. So yeah.
Right, Daniel,
Fantastic.
because you're so far away, when you speak, we lose the vision of your camera. So what I'm going to encourage you to do is, if you can maybe just go on to mute and just see whether we can get your picture up again, and then you can do us a little tour of where you are, and then come back off mute, and then we'll have a chat.
Right. Yeah. No problem at all.
We may have lost the picture forever, for all I know. Or maybe it's just gone really dark in Venice. Maybe it's maybe the clocks have changed in Venice in a way that we don't understand. Right, show us around, Daniel. Keep it on mute and just give us a bit of a panorama of where you are. Well, it looks like a half decent day in Venice. I don't know whether there's any water you can show us. That may not be possible. Obviously, a gondolier would be great. Oh, there we go. Obviously, someone wearing a stripy shirt with a big oar in their hands would be perfect, but I'm not expecting the world here. Okay, there's something down there. All right, Daniel, we may lose the picture again, but we'll hear the sound. Just remind people that that just need filling in on what you're doing in Venice, and what took you out there, and what the plan is for you being there. We're obviously going into your gallery now, where I suspect some of your material is going to be showed in the exhibition that you're taking part in.
Unmute.
If you want to come off mute again, Daniel, and talk to us about how you've ended up there and what's going on.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yeah, no problem. This is a gallery I'm exhibiting in. There's my space. Obviously, still not filled. I'm looking to finish for next Friday. I'm still working on my piece because I've had to find a lot of stuff, use a lot of recycled material to create the piece. So I'll probably be the last person putting my work up in the gallery. So at the moment, I'm maybe 3/4 of the way through the piece that I'm going to do. And yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing that hopefully next Friday or Saturday. But because of the nature of what I'm doing, it's site-specific work. I'm still collecting material from the streets, and hopefully it will be, you know, transferred into the work in a way that I'm happy with. But yeah, so this is one of the many galleries that where the exhibition is being held.
And just remind us, Daniel,
I can take you around some more if you like. I can, because Daniel, we've got Wi-Fi, no problem here. So
just tell us how you've ended up there. How have you ended up in Venice, Daniel? Oh, it's tricky.
Yeah. Okay. My work got spotted at Manchester Art Fair in 2019, and they contacted us a year later and asked us to come to Venice. So yeah, that's the reason I'm here.
And there's been a bit of a crowdfunding campaign to get you out there, hasn't there?
A chance, 1 in a million chance, you know. So, but it's definitely been worth.
All right.
Yeah. Well, I ended up selling work. My friend set it up as a crowdfunder, but I ended up using it as a shop, and I sold over £10,000 worth of work to help fund this, you know. So I've been very, very lucky, you know, as far as you know, raising the money so that I don't have to worry about, you know, obviously paying for bills when I'm out here. I've got to pay all of the, you know, living costs that as though I was in Carlisle, you know, as well as the money that I have to have here. So, but yeah, like I say, I've been very lucky. I've sold the work to cover this trip. It's not been going out with a begging bowl. Yeah, some people have donated, but I set it up, the crowdfunding, so that anything above £50, people will get something back, you know. So it's become more like a vehicle to sell the work as well. So, but yeah, the you know, everybody who's donated has given me a chance of a lifetime. So I'm very, very grateful for that, because it's been absolutely amazing. And I'm only halfway through it. So let's see where it goes from here.
All right, Daniel. Derek says he was in Venice in 1963 towards the end of a 6-week hitchhiking trip through Italy to Sicily. Thank you, Derek. Carolyn says, I'd say you've been hardworking and talented, not lucky. And Fliss says, it's not luck, Daniel, it's good karma. Absolutely agree with all of that. Just tell us quickly, Daniel, what's Venice like?
Venice is everything you expect and a little bit more. That's all I can say. It's just beautiful. It's a little bit shambolic because of the, you know, it's just decayed, you know, but it's perfect for my type of work, you know, as well, because I've been out looking out on the streets looking for all sorts of objects, and you know, collecting all of those and using it in the work as you know, and it's a good way of discovering the city as well. You know, just go out for a wander, and you know, don't take your GPS or anything like that, because I'm near the Rialto Bridge. I know if I get back to the Rialto Bridge, I can walk backwards to my place because I've done it that many times. So it's nice to just go out and get lost to places and just see different parts that, you know, away from St. Mark's, Rialto, and the usual places, and go to some of the quieter places, you know, the off the beaten track stuff, and it's beautiful. Everywhere has got its own little bit of character, and you know, some of the little alleyways, and all of the more quiet places, places that I'm interested in, you know. So in the day-to-day stuff, you think Venice is like, you know, like almost like a theme park, but it's, you know, people live here and they survive here, you know.
Fantastic.
Hi, Danny. It's John from up front. Have the other artists got all their work up on the walls already? Has he disappeared?
Have we lost him?
Really interested in him being the guy that takes no work and building on site. It's beautiful.
I think that's really impressive that he's doing it organically.
Beautiful, beautiful risk.
As Vegas says in chat, Daniel's worked so hard to support Cumbrian artists through his group pop-up shows like Proceed that Nick was talking about. So this is well-deserved time for himself and his work. I suspect the line to Venice has gone down now. So we've got lots of Daniel there. I kind of quite like the sort of, in the nicest possible way, the chaotic nature of what's going on out there as well. You know, it feels like it's something where they're all in it together, and they are very much trying to see where this all gets to. So I just thought it was fantastic to hear from Daniel while he was out there, not just before he went out there, and get a chance of understanding the work that he's doing out there. Daniel, are you back with us now?
Yeah, looks like it.
John was just asking you about, John, do you want to ask that question again?
Hi, Danny. Good luck with the show. Have all the other artists got their work up and going already? Have the other artists got all their work on the wall?
Sorry about the going missing there.
Signal's dropping out, I think.
We've just got quite a delay.
There's some still being installed. We've had but we've had a couple of deliveries this morning. There's a 12-foot blue gorilla.
Great.
Sorry about that. getting all sorts of voices coming at me, but I'll try my best to answer it as clearly as possible. Sorry about this.
You've done a great job, Daniel. We're going to leave you in peace now because you've got a 12-foot blue gorilla arriving. You need to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And we've got a sense of outdoors and indoors as well. And we're all very supportive of what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I think the ambition that you're showing of what can be achieved by anyone in Cumbria, let alone an artist, is fantastic as well. And maybe when you get back, we'll check in with you again and just get your reflections on how it's been. Thank you for taking the time to show us around this morning.
Yeah, thanks very much. Thank you.
All right, there goes Daniel. Okay, fantastic to see and hear what's going on out there on this sunny day in Cumbria. Right, next Friday is Good Friday, so we're all going to take a break, and there won't be a call next Friday, so you can stay in bed and eat your breakfast in bed or whatever. But the following Friday from that, which I think off the top of my head is going to be about 20 seconds, something like that, we're going to hear from Aldo Rinaldi, who is the man who came on this call about 18 months ago, building a big piece of work out in West Cumbria, big public art piece of work, and many other projects as well. He's going to fill us in on how that's been going. And we're also going to hear, about Printfest, which is making a lovely comeback in Ulverston at the Coronation Hall. Some of you may well be involved in that, Printfest, which is a fantastic, if you've ever been down there, a lovely display of different stuff going on, all from all over the place, but particularly from Cumbria. So we're going to hear about Printfest in 2 weeks' time as well. So having a break next Friday, back with you in 2 weeks' time. Thank you to everybody, to Liz, to Emma, to Nick, and to Daniel in Venice for your contributions this morning. Lots of stuff in chat as well, with hearing all about Derek's adventures in Italy. So nice to see you all. Good luck with everybody. Have a lovely Easter and catch you again in 2 weeks' time. Nice to see you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.